Ninakupenda, ninakupenda. Ayo, 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 jambo, jambo.
Hamjambo familia, welcome to the Black Fire Network. So the class is for the weekend. We get together every Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time to just get to learn Swahili as a family. I want to say once again, Hamjambo, and that is the popular Swahili greeting. If you're saying hello to a group of people, and therefore the way to respond will really be to say Hatujambo, and that is the proper response for hello. Say to a group of people. My name is Pikes, and I hope that you're having a fantastic weekend. I don't know what you all up to this particular weekend, but whatever it is, I hope that you find success in your endeavors. You know, sometimes over the weekend, people are busy hanging out with family. People are busy perhaps getting some time to get, to do some shopping. Some other time, people are just busy, just having cutting a bread. But nonetheless, whatever it is that you might be doing, I just hope that you are doing okay, and if not, things will eventually shape up. So don't you fret. Make sure you approach in life with a positive mindset. That is what I am always reminding us right here on the Black Fire Network. Swahili class is for the weekend. For those of us who are wondering what Swahili is all about, Swahili is a beautiful East African language which actually originated from the coastal towns of East Africa, and it has rapidly spread across the continent to be spoken by over 100 million speakers, 100 million people on the continent. And of course, it's still gaining prominence. I believe in the next maybe 10 or 20 years, we shall have even much more people speaking Swahili, a population of maybe even 300 million people conversing in Swahili. And therefore, I do believe it's a good thing when we come and connect on the Black Fire Network and have some time really just to be able to study and learn a bit of Swahili. And like I said, it's not a very, very difficult language. I consider Swahili to be one of the easiest languages. I am not saying so because I'm a Swahili speaker, but I'm saying so because that is just the truth. Swahili is not really difficult. And if you want to learn Swahili, this is a perfect place to be. And I want to tell you that you all Your time shall not be wasted here on the Black Hot Fire Network Swahili classes for the weekend. I hope that you get to learn. And one of the things that I love about languages is that a language, learning languages makes your brain remain sharper. It sharpens your brain, and therefore, I do believe if you want to stay younger, or if you want to stay younger, even if you are at your 50s or your 60s or your 40s or whatever age that you are at, one of the best ways to keep your brain sharp is really by learning a new language. And there are so many languages on the African continent. I do believe we have over 1,500 languages in Africa. And just to give an illustration, for example, if you go to Cameroon, in Cameroon, there are about 150 languages. If you go to Nigeria, in Nigeria, we do have about 200 different communities. And therefore, all these different communities, most of them have their own indigenous languages. And therefore, you get to realize that between Cameroon and Nigeria, you do have about 350 languages spoken, native languages spoken in these two countries. And then if you leave Cameroon, even if you just to come to East Africa, just leave alone West Africa, come to East Africa and go to a country such as Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, there are about 81 different ethnic groups in Ethiopia. And like you said, I believe each group has its own, indigenous language or native language. And therefore, that's 81 language. And then cross over the border and get into Kenya. In Kenya, we do have 47 different ethnic groups. And therefore, we do have about 47 different languages. And you can also add on to the language of the colonizer, which of course has been taken up by many people, which is English. And therefore, that makes it 48. And therefore, among four countries, you do have about close to 500 languages, close to 500 languages. But one of the interesting things about Swahili is that it has connected people, even though we do have many other different languages. Swahili is a national language in Kenya. It's also the national language in Tanzania, and I believe it's a national language in Uganda as well, among different places. If you want to move from Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, and perhaps go down and go to heading to the DRC Congo. In the DRC Congo, you shall still find many speakers of Swahili, many Swahili speakers in the DRC Congo. The DRC is vast, but even if you are lost in the DRC Congo, you shall still stumble into people communicating in Swahili, which is a wonderful thing. Recently, there was a memorandum of understanding signed between the government of Kenya and the government of South Africa in terms of education partnership, so that we can have some educators or some teachers being involved in programs to teach Swahili in South Africa. And therefore, I believe that draws us closer to the quest to the goal of unity, because if we do have one language, we shall be able to connect as a people. And now, of course, a language is also able to connect you to your roots. An African language is also able to connect you to your roots. And therefore, if you're trying to reestablish, your roots right here, maybe in Kenya or in Uganda or in the DRC Congo or in another part of the African continent where Swahili is spoken, then I believe learning the language of Swahili is one of the most critical steps to enable you to even connect at a much, deeper level, as I might call it. And of course, last week we did have a wonderful class on Sunday, and today we're also looking forward to having an interesting class. And if anyone happens to have a question as we move along, it's very, very important that you can ask. If you do have a question as we move along, feel free to ask. It doesn't hurt. And it's actually wise for you to ask a question, whatever question that you might have in your mind regarding the lesson, or even regarding the culture. That would be a wonderful way to continue learning. And of course, we do have with us one Swahili guidebook I just put together and made a simple ebook. It's available on lulu.com, or if you click on this link that I've shared with us on the screen, if you head to lulu.com and search for Pumzi Africa Mwanzo Swahili Guidebook, Pumzi Africa Mwanzo Swahili Guidebook, it will actually take you direct to where you can find this particular book. And of course, even when you are not having classes, you can still study on your own and be able to get this particular book. It's called the Mwanzo Swahili Guidebook or Mwanzo Swahili Guidebook. Find other resources that together for you. And these resources are free and available if you head over to Spreaker.com and search for Black Hot Fire Network. Head over to Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker.com, and search for the Black Hot Fire Network, you will be able to find some previous episodes of our Swahili class, and you can also be able to follow with that and see how far you can get along your way in terms of learning Swahili. We also do have other different resources. Also, for example, on Amazon, we also do have a book right there you can get on Amazon. I believe it's called what's the name of that particular book? I'm trying to remember. When I remember the name, I'll actually tell you. But we also do have videos from previous classes on this same channel. If you search for Swahili Saturday Swahili class on Black Hot Fire, or you can also search for Sunday Swahili class on Black Hot Fire. You will be able to find all the archives of all these videos where we have been teaching and learning Swahili as a family. This particular course, it's really a short course, and of course it takes 16 weeks. It takes 16 weeks, which is about 4 months. I understand that 4 months is really a short time to understand or to comprehend and become a fluent Swahili speaker. But nonetheless, I believe 16 weeks is also a good time really just get a little bit of an appreciation and a little bit of an apprehension of the language, and therefore I don't believe it's a bad thing even having 16 weeks dedicated to learning all these content. Let me share with you a little bit of the notes, and then we shall get straight into the whole matter of learning Swahili. Let me share these real quick, and then we shall get straight into learning Swahili. And of course, this is it. Swahili for beginners, just learning and communicating with ease. And of course, this is a Mwanzo Swahili guidebook, the start. If you're translating Mwanzo translates into the start, and therefore it's a start Swahili guidebook. And now, of course, this particular short course has been divided into 16 weeks, like you can see. It mainly delves into the introduction into Swahili, key and popular words in Swahili, the greetings and common courtesy in Swahili, Swahili grammar. We delve into the nouns, the verbs, and the adjectives. We also go into the spelling and pronunciation of Swahili words. We also go into the diction and the intonation of our words in Swahili and the phrases. We also go into the changing of the tenses in Swahili. We also learn the singular and plural objects and terms in Swahili. We also learn about numbers and enumeration in Swahili. For example, even talking about numbers, if you're talking about one, let me just briefly touch on numbers. One in Swahili is labeled, is translated into moja. One, it's translated into moja, M-O-J-A, moja. If you're talking about two, we normally say mbili, mbili, M-B-I-L-I, mbili. If you're talking about three, for example, 3 fingers, you would say tatu. You would say tatu. If you're translating 3 fingers as a phrase, you would say vidole tatu, vidole tatu. If you're talking about 4, you normally say ne, which is N-N-E, N-N-E, ne. If you're talking about 5 fingers, you would say tano, which is T-A-N-O, tano, T-A-N-O. And now, of course, we go all the way to, to infinity. You can count numbers all the way to infinity. Nonetheless, we also go into learning a little bit about construction of simple Swahili sentences. We also get to learn simple Swahili dialogues in a different social context. And we also get to learn basic Swahili translations once again, and synonyms in Swahili, because we understand that in different languages, one item or one noun can have different names, referring to it. You can call this, you can have 2 names for one particular item. And of course, you also learn sounds in Swahili and some more vocabulary. And we also get into traditional African sayings, traditional African Swahili sayings. For example, when it comes to sayings, we do have one popular proverb. In Swahili, we call proverbs methali, methali. And one popular methali reads, or it says, mtaka cha uvunguni, sharti ainame. Mtaka cha uvunguni, sharti ainame. This simply means if you want something and it's really, somewhere underneath or underground, then you would have to, you have to squat, or you have to bend. Yeah, you have to bend over and collect it. You have to bend over and pick it. And now, of course, that is just to mean that if you're looking for something and it's really not on the surface, then you have to work harder, or you have to do much more to be able to attain it. And now, of course, we shall also be learning a little bit about new generational developments in Swahili and learning about slang or sheng Sheng is a combination of Swahili and English. Swahili and English. And we also do a little bit of some self-assessment to see whether we are still learning or whether we have actually, gotten to learn anything. Nonetheless, please let me know where you are tuning from, and let me know how your day is going. Even before we continue, you can do that by, just let me know that you are with us in class. Just drop in a comment. Please do let me know that you are with us and where you are tuning from, and perhaps maybe what you are up to on this wonderful Saturday, being the 5th of December, the year 2020. The year has moved pretty fast. Time flies, like they say. Time really, really flies. And just the other day, we were with the Black Watchfire family in Tanzania. Tanzania is considered to be the home place or the birthplace of our Swahili because we do have so many Swahili speakers. I think it's the official language and it's also the national language. If you go to Tanzania, even when they're studying their mathematics in class and when they're studying their Swahili, they also still use Swahili. Even if they are studying geography, sorry, even if they are studying geography or even if they are studying arts, or studying social sciences, they normally do so by the language of Swahili. And it's a beautiful thing because Tanzania, there's so many interesting things about Tanzania that I also got to learn, apart from the culture and apart from, how things are run in Tanzania. I also believe, them sticking to their own language also shows their own independence, I might call it so. They have decided while other countries are fighting about who speaks in French, who speaks in English, who speaks in this and that, where other countries are labeling speaking in English and French as being sophisticated. Tanzania still has its official language as Kiswahili, and therefore you will go into an office and you will have your duties, or you will have your communication in Swahili. Maybe you're making a request for this and that in an office, which is a government office. The language that you get to use right there is Swahili, and therefore you can also use English, but what is recommended is Swahili. And therefore these are people who really, hold on to their identity. They are embracing their own identity and their own language, which is not to be said in most other African countries. And therefore, I want to big up Tanzania as well. Kid, thank you so much for joining us on the show. You said good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too. Of course, we do have different times of the day, and we do have different, we do have the same greeting, but then again, you can actually add the time of the day. For example, if it's in the morning, and you're asking someone, how is your morning? How is your morning? In Swahili, you would normally just say habari ya asubuhi. Habari ya asubuhi. Habari ya asubuhi. If you just met with some friends, you met with some friends. Habari ya asubuhi. Ya asubuhi. Asubuhi is the way you would say, how is your morning? How is your morning? Habari ya asubuhi. How is your morning? Remember, last week we were learning about something which is the greetings, and we said, you normally say there are two ways of doing Swahili greetings. There are two ways of doing Swahili greetings. You can actually say hujambo. You can tell someone hujambo, which is hello. You actually tell someone hujambo, which actually means hello. But you can also ask them. Habari yako, habari yako, which is how are you, which is how are you. You can also, if it's in the morning, you can ask them habari ya asubuhi, habari ya asubuhi, and of course they will respond and say njema, njema, all nzuri, njema, all nzuri. Nzuri simply means good. Nzuri simply means good. If someone says hello to you and how are you doing, you can just tell them you're doing okay or you're doing good. And you can also say njema, which is well. Njema, which is well. And therefore, if you're having greetings at different times of the day, you might add the timing. For example, if it's in the evening, it's jioni, jioni. This is how you say evening in Swahili, jioni, evening in Swahili. And therefore, if you met someone along the way and you're going home, you met someone along the way and you're going home, you can still say habari ya jioni, habari ya jioni, which is how is your evening? How is your evening? That is a habari ya jioni. Habari ya jioni. And of course, if you're talking about late afternoon, of course, if you're talking about late afternoon, you can also say habari ya alasiri. Habari ya alasiri. Alasiri in Swahili simply means late afternoon. Alasiri, which is about 3 p.m. About 3 p.m. Alasiri. Therefore, you would say, which is a late afternoon, And therefore, if you're saying hello to someone and it's late afternoon around 3 p.m., you can simply ask them habari ya asubuhi, habari ya alasiri, habari ya alasiri, habari ya alasiri, and they would respond and say nzuri or njema. How is your late afternoon? How is your late afternoon? And of course, there are two things, of course, which I also want to give a distinction. Apart from having conversation in Swahili and getting to just break the ice or just capture the attention of someone, you would really also have to distinguish between mchana and usiku. Mchana simply means daytime. Mchana means daytime. And you can also say habari za mchana, which is how is your day, habari mchana, which is how is your day, habari za mchana, which is how is your day. You can simply say that. You can simply say habari za mchana, simply to means how is your day. Sorry for the interruption there. I was saying that you can actually know how someone, you can actually check on someone and ask them how their day is coming along, and you would simply say habari za mchana, and they would respond and say nzuri. But of course, there is always a time where you cannot count on every other moment being okay, and therefore, if someone says ni mbaya means bad. Mbaya means bad. Mbaya means bad. You can actually check on someone and how the days are coming up, and they would respond and say mbaya, which simply means it's not okay. It's not okay. Or they can also say sio sawa, which is not okay. Not okay. If your day is not coming up well, they can also say mbaya, or they can also say sio sawa. Sawa means okay. Sawa also means okay. Sawa means okay. Or means okay or fine. For example, if you were to tell someone, we will meet in the evening, we will meet in the evening, we will meet in the evening, that is, you'd actually, it's translated into tapatana, jioni. Remember I said that the evening is jioni, the evening is translated into jioni. And therefore, if you tell someone tutapatana jioni and they say sawa, and they respond and say sawa, it means that they are agreeing with you. They say, okay, it's fine, or they're saying it's okay, or they're saying it's fine. And therefore, that would be a simple way. If someone nodded their head, in Swahili, we also communicate even without, in the Swahili culture, we also communicate even with, with signs. If someone nodded their head like this, then that is accepting or agreeing with what you're saying. If they note this is a positive. But also, if they turn their head like this and they are nodding like this, then that is also to disagree with what you're saying, even in the Swahili culture. So that doesn't change. If someone nods like this, they are agreeing with whatever you're saying. But if someone nods like this, they probably not agreeing, or they probably do not know what you're talking about. But nonetheless, I was talking about the times of the day. Because Swahili is much older language than English. Yes, I do believe that the Bantu, being a Bantu language, then automatically that makes it older. I believe people have been communicating in Swahili, but I am yet to understand. I am yet to research and find out some of the oldest languages, some of the oldest languages are used by, by humanity. I would just like to know, perhaps 5,000 years ago, or even perhaps 25,000 years ago, what languages were more popular. I will be doing a little bit of research on that, just to have an understanding, because languages also transform over time. A language does not remain static. As people change, as cultures change, so does language. I believe that at some point you shall find some words coming from an ancient language being transferred into a relatively newer language. But nonetheless, what happens is that language is dynamic. It's not static. As cultures change, as people move around and interact and do this and that, languages do change. But nonetheless, Swahili is a Bantu language, and I'm glad that you are with us. I hope that you're learning a thing or two about the language. And now, of course, the times of the day. Oh, I wanted to draw a distinction. Sorry, I think I lost my track of thought. The oldest languages are African. Yes, but which are they? I would just like to know which are they. And I believe in Southern Africa, we might have some Southern African languages that are very, very ancient. Even perhaps in Egypt, even or even along the Nile, maybe we might have maybe in Kenya. We might, I never know. Even in Kenya, maybe some of the language that we use in Kenya, which are languages, might have some very, very old. They might have been used in the ancient times. But nonetheless, I always remember anytime I say ancient, Ansankinon has always been saying, is it Ansankinon has always been saying, anytime the word ancient is used, replace that with African. Anytime you read a text and they're talking about Asian, something ancient, just scrap that nonsense and I replace that with African. But nonetheless, I was telling us about the distinction between day and night. Yeah, there's a distinction between day and night, and a distinction between daytime and day. If you're talking about the daytime is really mchana. That is what I was saying earlier. The daytime is mchana. And for the day, a day, for the day, you really just say siku. For the day, you just say siku, which is a day. If someone is to ask you, maybe someone told you, we shall meet next week. We shall meet next week. We shall meet up next week. And you are wondering which day next week. You're wondering which day next week. So you would ask them, siku gani? Siku, which is day. Gani, siku gani? Siku gani, which is which day, which is equivalent to which day, siku gani. But there is a difference between day and daytime. In Swahili, you cannot, day and daytime, there's a difference between that. But if you're talking about the night, there's also the word for night, which is closely linked to siku, and the word for night is usiku. Usiku is the word for nighttime or night. There's not a distinction between nighttime and night. There's just the same, but there's a distinction between daytime and day, and therefore you have to just realize that. And what I was saying on the previous class is that we do have the 5 vowels in Swahili. Swahili has 5 vowels, and then the consonants are way too many. The consonants are all the letters of the alphabet except for Q and X. And then you also do have some special class of consonants in Swahili that constitutes 2 consonants being put together. For example, G and H, C and H, S and H, T and H. Those are some of the special class of consonants, and we have categorized them even on our notes. Remember, if you would like to get a copy of the booklet with the notes, you can be able to get to lulu.com, and once you are on lulu.com, you can buy and support the Swahili classes, even with this particular link. Let me just share it with us real quick. Kid is saying, yes, that wasn't Kenya. You're saying, yeah, it wasn't just Kenya. Parts of Kenya was parts of the Aksum Empire. Yes, I was seeing that when we were talking about it last week. I didn't know much about the Aksum Empire till I think you have mentioned it sometimes back, but I learned more about it last week. About the Aksum Empire and of course how it actually eventually fell. But nonetheless, what I was saying is that in Swahili we do have 5 vowels, and I have repeated this time and again because it's important. The vowels are the English letter A, the English letter E, the English letter O, the English letter U, and the English letter I. And therefore, you would say A, E, O, U. Those are the 5 vowels in Swahili. A, E, O, U. And every other Swahili word will end with a syllable which has the syllable which has on any of these vowels. For example, a plate is known as sahani, and therefore there's that vowel, that syllable with the vowel sound, the syllable with the vowel sound, which is ni, which is ni. And of course, now that I use ni, I remembered something. In Swahili, if you're talking about ni, ni is translated to is. For example, if you're saying kijana yule ni mchafu, kijana yule ni mchafu, that would be the boy is dirty. That boy is dirty. Or if you're talking about kijana mtoto yule ni mkorofi, let me just use an example. Mtoto yule ni mkorofi. In that child is greedy. And what you realize, ni, the ni, of course, comes mostly before an adjective, to describe someone or to describe a situation. If you say ni nzuri, siku yangu, let me just also give this, siku yangu ni nzuri, then that translates to my day is good, all okay. My day is good, all is okay. And therefore, you realize that the ni, of course, ni is it's very it's used to translated to is. And now, of course, we also do have some other words which are short. For example, na, translates to and. For example, if you say tea and bread, tea and bread, you would say chai, which is tea, chai na mkate. That is how you would translate it. Chai na mkate. And therefore, do not confuse ni and na. Na is for aunt, but ni is for is. In Swahili. And Akid, you're asking now, was it hard learning? Was it hard for you to learn Swahili from a Swahili language? Or they are similar. It's not that difficult. They are similar. For me, because both of them are Bantu languages, and therefore it's not difficult. It would be difficult for someone else, maybe coming from another different kind of, it wasn't difficult for me because even some names are literally the same. For example, you were talking about a pen, a kalamu. Kalamu is also kalamu in my own language, my own, my own tribal language. Even I'm talking about a cooking stick, which is called mwiko. Cooking stick is used to make ugali. And it's called mwiko. But if you go to Swahili, it's also known as mwiko. If you go to words like the sufuria, which is a cooking pot, the sufuria is a sufuria in my own tribal language, and it's still sufuria in Kiswahili, among other different many things. Even kijiko, which is a spoon, especially things to do with the kitchen, they are almost the same. The spoon, the cooking pot, the teapot, all these things are almost the same in Swahili and in my own tribal language. Therefore, it wasn't good with it that hard. At some point, as you go and learn Swahili more, some of the things are really a bit difficult, because if it was so simple, then I would have gotten a straight A in my Kiswahili. Because we learned Kiswahili in primary school, we also learned Swahili in high school, and the only place you not learn Swahili is in university, because they assume you're not becoming a specialist in languages. But nonetheless, all those two levels, in secondary school and in primary school, we do have Swahili as a unit or as a subject, and therefore keep on building on the knowledge of Swahili, which is a good thing. And it wasn't really difficult, but it's not really easy when it comes to the academic part of it. It's not really easy because everyone would have gotten an A, but nonetheless. That is my experience learning Swahili, and I've also been getting better at Swahili because I've been doing some shairi. Shairi is what we do call Swahili poetry. Swahili poetry. I have put up some Swahili poetry, which is really really interesting. I think writing poetry in Swahili for me is a bit easier because it's a Bantu language, not like a bit complex like doing poetry because I do poetry in English. When I do Swahili shairi, it's much more, it flows, it's seamless, it's effortless, a little bit. I can call it effortless, not really effortless, but something close to that. But anyhow, let's continue with our class for Swahili. And thank you for letting me know how we broke away into different. Thank you for letting me know how we broke away into different tribes and how the language changes. Yes, it changes over time. If you go and make your own small tribal group, the language, most of the things might remain the same, but you might, but now the culture, and you might have new things and coming into contact with new things and new technology and things like that. Then other words, the people and the way you name things, it changes and the language changes. Nonetheless, and then learn the English language. So they had to get confused all the time. No, it's not. It's not difficult. It's not difficult getting confused with the three languages. I'm even surprised sometimes. I'm even surprised to hear. There was a lady I was talking to, and she was telling me she was brought up by her family, but she cannot talk her tribal language. She doesn't know how to speak in her tribal language. And I was like, that's a shame. She says she can hear the language, but she's not able to speak in the language, which is a little bit of a shame because I'm not sure how you will communicate with your grandmothers and with your grandfathers. And it's crazy. Nonetheless, when it comes to matters of language, there are so many questions you will ask yourself. When you are having a conversation with yourself in your mind, do you use the tribal language, or do you use Swahili, or do you use English? For me, that's also difficult because it depends on what you're thinking about. I guess it depends on what you're thinking about. That is now when your brain and yourself and having, because everyone is talking to themselves every now and then, you're having a conversation with yourself. Do you have your conversation with yourself with English or Swahili or the tribal language? And then again, I think it depends also on what you're thinking about. And even when you're having dreams, when you're conversing with people, I'm really not also able to really make out whether it's a language of a Swahili that you dream with and converse to people in your dreams with, or it's a language of English, or it's a language of Swahili. But nonetheless, that's a whole different story for another day. Let's continue with our learning for Swahili. And of course, when I was talking about what the content of these Swahili course includes, I said that you shall also be learning about numbers and enumeration. But we cannot just jump into numbers and enumeration. It's really important to also understand that in Swahili we do not have the letter Q and X, and there is no Swahili word with the letter Q and X. And also, as I was teaching last week, I also happened to realize that in Swahili it's very rare. It's very rare for consonants. We do have some words where we do have the consonants following each other. For example, a word with a double G in the middle, or a word with a double G at the start, it's very, very rare. What happens mostly is we have a consonant and a vowel, a consonant and a vowel, a consonant and a vowel. That's how Swahili operates, or most of what you find in Swahili. So, for example, if I talk about a book, it's kitabu, kitabu. But if you break it, that is a book. But then again, it's ki, then ta, then bu, kitabu. It's very difficult. It's very rare. In very rare situations will you find a name in Swahili that goes like maybe maybe BB U, then KK E, and then maybe GH. it's very very difficult. You will not find any word in Swahili that sort of looks like this, sort of looks like BB, UKK, and then H, then E, and HH. And also, what you get to realize is even in Swahili, most words end with a vowel sound, a syllable with a vowel sound. Most words, almost all words in Swahili, almost all words in Swahili end with a syllable that has a vowel sound. For example, kitabu, once again, kitabu, kitabu. Let me just put this down, kitabu, kitabu. You realize it ends with a BU. It ends with a BU, and the BU has the syllable sound, bu, u. Ends with the syllable sound, u. The kitabu ends with the syllable sound, u. That is how it is. It ends with the syllable sound u. And therefore, almost all Swahili words, if you talk about kalamu, kitabu, mashini, siku, adhuhuri, alasiri, mchana, chakula, which is food, maji, which is water, almost all the words end with a syllable which has a vowel sound, and the vowel sound could either be a or e, u, e, or it can either be any of that vowel sounds. It's very very difficult for you to find any word that ends with a consonant as well. You will not find, for example, a word in Swahili. You will not find this word in Swahili that ends like this, or like that ends like this. Let me just even use this. You will not find any word in Swahili that ends like this. Probably that is not Swahili. If you do find a word in Swahili that ends with high, a GH, a consonant, is not really. I am yet to see them. I am yet to see those words in Swahili that are really. Yes, this. I believe this is what makes it easy. I believe this is what makes it easy to learn, because the word mostly is read just as almost as it sounds. It's read almost as it sounds. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm saying if you find a Swahili word and you read it, even being an American, or read it being even from whatever place you're coming from, and you read it maybe in your English understanding of this word, it might end up sounding just like it's a read. You might sounding just like you've seen it, because that is why it sounds like it's read. But nonetheless, yes, that is what you'll not find in Swahili. But what I was saying earlier, also let me make a caveat on what I was saying earlier. I was saying that you shall not find many words in Swahili that you do have consonants following each other. And when I'm talking about consonants, I'm talking about all the letters of the English alphabet except for Q and X. But there are some few instances where you do find words like that. For example, the number 4 in Swahili, is really nne, which is the number 4 in Swahili. And therefore, if you look at the number 4, you realize that now we do have two consonants following each other, N and N following each other, then followed by a Ni, which is nne, but which is 4. But nonetheless, in most cases, when you're naming any number, you find a syllable followed by a vowel. For example, 5, let me use the example of the numerical figure 5. The numerical figure 5, which is tano, is TANO, which is 5, which is a numerical, which is a 5. And therefore, if it's tano like that and it's 5, you realize that is the syllable, the consonant, which is T, followed by an E. Then you have another consonant N, followed by a vowel, which is O, and therefore that makes the word 5. And also I believe it's the same for all these other numbers on the alphabet. For example, 1, the number 1 of the numerical number 1 is moja, which is once again, let me also illustrate the point of the vowel followed by a consonant. And also something else that you also get to realize with Swahili as you get into learn, because I always also keep on educating myself as you're learning. In most Swahili words, I think I'm not able to put, I wish I was able to put that in, to key that in. In most Swahili words, the letters start with a consonant, then followed by a vowel. A consonant followed by a vowel. A consonant followed by a vowel. For example, moja is 1, yeah? Moja is 1. Moja is 1, and therefore that would be 1. That would be 1. And what you realize with the word moja, as you continue learning, what you realize with the word moja in Swahili, we start with a consonant, then a vowel, a consonant, then a vowel, a consonant, then a vowel. It's like that. You will hardly also find in Swahili many words starting with vowels. There are words that start with vowels, but they are also not very, very many. Most of the cases, you'll find the words starting with a consonant, then a vowel, a consonant, then a vowel. For example, let me also use tisa, which is number 9. Well, let me just use all the numbers now 0 to 10. Let me just give an illustration with 0 to 10. The number 0 is sufuri. The number 0 is a sufuri. Sufuri. From sufuri, you can see it's a consonant followed by a vowel, a consonant followed by a vowel. Su, fu, ri. Su, fu, ri. That is the number 10. 0, the number 0. The number 1, I already said, it's moja, also followed, started by a consonant, then a consonant, then a vowel, a consonant, then a vowel. And we have number 2, which is mbili, mbili, mbili. Let me just put it down. Number 2 is mbili. Number 2 is mbili. It's also a consonant followed by another consonant, and also then a vowel, a consonant followed by another consonant, then a vowel. And I also have tatu. Tatu is number 3, which is tatu is number 3. Then nne, like I said earlier, is number 4. Tano is 5. Tano is 5. Sita is 6. Sita is 6. Sorry, sita is 6. Then saba means 7. Saba means 7, and 8 means nane means 8. Tisa means 9. Tisa means 9. And it's not. I was also wondering to myself if it's a coincidence that number 6 and number 9. If you go and look at number 9 and you invert it, go and look at number 9 and invert it. It just becomes number 6. And in Swahili, number 6 is sita. Number 6 is sita. Let me just put it down. Number 6 is sita. Number 6 is sita. Number 9, when you invert that, number 9 is tisa. Number 9, it's also tisa. With the words which are also very, very close. Even in Swahili, tisa, 6 and 9 are also very, very close the way you interpret them into Swahili. But nonetheless, that might just have been a coincidence. If so, there is also something else. I just wanted to just highlight some of the things that are really interesting about Swahili. Swahili is not gender specific. I always keep on saying. And why is it not gender specific? I am not sure. I will not tell you how they actually came up with that and just surpassed gender. For them, gender did not matter. Whomever was making Swahili, to them, gender really did not matter. Whether that was a man passing by or whether that was a lady passing by, apparently it seems it did not matter whether that was a man sitting down or whether that was a lady sitting down. It's just the same in Swahili. For example, what I'm trying to say, for example, if you say in English, and you go find a lady seated on a seat, you would say she is seated next to the door. She's seated by the door. She's seated by the door. And you can also, if you find a man seated by the door, you would also say he is seated next to the door. He is seated next to the door. But in Swahili, you would come back and report and say, ameketi karibu na mlango. Mlango is a door, which means ameketi karibu na mlango. And then if you say ameketi karibu na mlango, that someone then would ask you who is seated next to the door, because it's not gender specific. Ameketi is not really, it can be a man or a woman who is seated next to the door. And therefore, in Swahili, you will not really know if they were talking about a woman who was talking or they were talking about a woman who was seated. That's a whole another different story. But nonetheless, moving on from that, I just want to touch on something briefly apart from the numbers. I just also want to touch on a little bit about some of the common Swahili words, some of the common Swahili words. And of course, these Swahili words include chakula, like I mentioned earlier. Chakula. Chakula is food. Chakula is how you say food. Nipe chakula. Nipe chakula is a phrase. Nipe chakula is really a phrase to mean give me food. Give me food. Nipe chakula. If someone says nipe chakula, it really means for them give me food. But if you're at a cafe or at a restaurant, you will just say niuzie. You cannot say niuzie. Niuzie is sell. Niuzie chakula. I will be sell me some food. Sell me some food. Some food. Chakula, it doesn't change. Chakula, it doesn't change. It's really just the same. And if you're thinking about water, you would say nipe maji. Maji is water. Maji is water. Maji is water. And you would say nipe maji. Just give me some water. Nipe maji is give me water. Nipe maji really translates into give me water. And trying to get in. I hope it. Okay, nipe maji. Yes, that is nipe maji. And if you would like to say also, please give me water, please, because it's very, very much. Swahili is also a courteous language. You know, there is a lot of courtesy in Swahili in the way people go about, doing their things in Swahili. There is a lot of courtesy and politeness. People in Tanzania are polite. You do not just go and, talk as if you're demanding. I believe in Tanzania, it's more of making some request. And when you're making the request, you would have to add the word tafadhali. You'd have to make the word tafadhali. Tafadhali. Tafadhali simply means please. Please. And therefore, if you're asking for some water, you would tell someone tafadhali nipe maji. Tafadhali nipe maji, which is please give me some water. Or you can say tafadhali nipe chakula, which is please give me food. There is also something very, very popular in any culture, in any place, in any community, which is money. And money in Swahili is pesa. Money in Swahili is pesa. And therefore, you would say nipe pesa. If someone came up to you and said nipe pesa, they're borrowing money. They are borrowing money. You would say nipe pesa. And you would understand they are borrowing money. And if you say tafadhali nipe pesa, it means please give me money. And if someone says please give me food, they would say please tafadhali nipe chakula. Those are some of the things that you get to learn. So far, if you do have a question, kindly feel free to ask. If you do have a question, kindly feel free to ask. I would just like to respond to your question. I would like to respond. If you do have a question, kindly feel free to ask. If you do have a question, kindly feel free to ask. Kama uko na swali, in Swahili, we normally do say swali. Swali is really question, swali. Kama uko na swali, I might be moving pretty fast, and you might have missed out. If you do have a question, kindly feel free to ask. If you do have any question, if you don't have a question, then we can actually proceed and learn a little bit more about some of the common phrases and words in Swahili. And of course, another common phrase in Swahili is rudi nyumbani. If someone says rudi nyumbani, nyumbani is home. Nyumbani, when you're talking about rudi nyumbani, you will be home. Nyumbani is home. If someone says rudi nyumbani is go back home. Rudi nyumbani would be go back home. Another different popular phrase is enda kazini. Enda is go. Enda means go. Enda means go. Enda means go. And therefore, if someone says enda kazini, enda kazini, will mean go to work. Go to work. Work simply means work is translated into kazi. Work translated into kazi. Work is translated into kazi in Swahili. And of course, if you wanted to say thank you so much, if you wanted to say thank you so much in Swahili, which is also, like I said, Swahili is very, very polite, you would say asante sana, which is thank you. Thanks a lot, or thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. In Swahili, also, if you wanted to say welcome again, if you want to say welcome again, someone has just been kind to you and you just want to welcome them again, welcome again, you would say karibu tena, karibu tena, karibu tena, which is welcome again. Karibu is welcome. Karibu means welcome in Swahili. Karibu means welcome. And tena means again. Tena. Tena simply means again. Tena simply means again. That is how you say it. Karibu tena. Karibu tena. That is how you would actually say it again. Karibu tena. If you have a question to that particular extent, kindly feel free to ask. I would just like if you have a question, kindly feel free to ask. I would be delighted just to know that you are still with us and you are still following up with the classes. You might be hanging and just wondering what is the brother talking about. And also talking about the members of the family. Mama still means mother. Baba means father. Brother is ndugu or kaka. For the sister, we say dada. For the sister, we say dada. If someone came up to you and said hujambo dada, maybe your sister, and someone came up to you and said hujambo dada, they are saying hello sister. And the way you respond is you say sijambo. And if someone also came up to you and said habari gani or habari yako dada is how are you sister, and you respond and say sijambo. So you respond and say nzuri sana, which is I'm well, or you can say I'm very well if you are well. And of course, if you're not well, you can say mbaya, or you can also say si sawa, which means that. Royal Empire Music, good morning. I hope you are doing well, Royal Empire Music. And I'm glad that you are tuning in and you're getting to check out what's happening with the Black Hot Fire Network Swahili classes for the weekend. We have been learning, but we are almost coming close to the end of our lesson for today. We have been learning, and some of the things that we have learned is about a little bit about the vowels and also the consonants. And we have also touched on some popular phrases and some popular words in Swahili. And I also get to give you a little bit of the differences between Swahili, some of the things that do stand out in the wonderful language of Swahili. Royal Music Empire, Royal Empire Music, thank you so much for joining us. I would just like to know, where are you tuning from? Please do let me know where you are tuning from. And of course, I am delighted that you are with us. Like I said, we do have so many resources. If you are interested in learning Swahili, we do have so many resources. If you would just like to get a copy of the guidebook, it's very, very easy for you to do so. You can also get it on lulu.com. And if not, you can also head over to stream at Spreaker.com, search for Black Hot Fire. And once you find the Black Hot Fire on Spreaker, search for Swahili classes on Spreaker. You can also find the archives of some of the previous lessons on this particular channel and also on our smaller channel. I believe all these lessons are there. And it would be a wonderful thing if you are able to go back and just get them from the archives and just teach yourself. And also keep on saying, learning Swahili cannot be done, by what you cannot just do it on your own self. You have to have family or colleagues or friends that you practice your Swahili with. You cannot just learn a language by yourself. It's very, very difficult. And also, do not be impatient with yourself. Please be patient, but keep on practicing, because practice makes perfect. And of course, I have been your tutor in this particular class. My name is Spikes. If you do have a question for me, you can simply ask Black Hot Fire Africa. Let me just drop the email at blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. I don't know if you're late for class. Nonetheless, I hope you're still fine. Black Hot Fire Africa. Hot Fire Africa. gmail.com. If you have a question for me, you would just like to ask You are very, very much welcome to do so. You're saying Amani, Dogu Spikes, Amani Kokopia, Amani Kokopia, General Mosquito. You're late for class today. But nonetheless, we are winding up, and I was saying that you can get to catch a playback of this class. I think this class was also interesting for me, and I get to keep on discovering more things about Swahili just as I continue, to ask myself a question. I hope that you are well. Everything is well in London. I hope that everything is well. Just go on the Swahili playlist on this channel. You find a lot of previous lessons. Yes, that would be the wisest thing to do. Just if you have a question, please you can email me. But you can also go to the Swahili playlist on this channel, and you will find a lot of the previous lessons. I've been tuning spikes. I've been driving home. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Sometimes they do like to call people who are from London, London boy. But I think with your Swahili being on point, they will no longer call General Mosquito a London boy. They will understand that this is a real African king once he starts speaking his Swahili. And I'm glad that you all tune in as General Mosquito. And of course, thank you so much for your support. Keep New Sam, thank you for giving us this platform. We love and appreciate the work that you are doing. And of course, your work is not in vain. I do believe that once there is the awakening of our people, people will now start to act appropriately, get on code, and of course, also start to embrace our own identity as Africans, even by also learning new languages such as Swahili. I also do aspire sometimes to learn more languages, maybe from the African continent, maybe a little bit over some Shona, or maybe a little bit over some Dembele, or maybe a little bit over Kinyarwanda. But nonetheless, I shall also get to embark on that as time goes by. Once again, much peace and love. I want to wish you a happy and productive day ahead. I want to say amani na asanteni sana kwa kuungana nasi katika darasa letu la leo. Till next time, I want to say kwaheri.
Ninakupenda. Ayo. Ayo.
Hagi Sankofa, I also see you. Thank you so much. I think you're joining us at the tail end of the show of the class. But nonetheless, thank you so much. I'm wishing you a happy and productive weekend. Stay safe, and of course, enjoy your time.
No.